Yeah, you probably mentioned it too.
Cool. What is going on, everybody? The vibes are low in here. I just have to keep it 100 because we are here to talk about game 2, Nuggets Timberwolves. I am Liv Moods, joined by Shelby Harris, Brandon Krisztal, sports analyst for KOA. This Hoops Your Daddy episode is presented by Landmark Lincoln. Shout out Landmark Lincoln. Fellas, we've got some realness to discuss today. How are you feeling, Shelby? Immediate reaction.
It kind of feels like it's over.
I'm going to be honest, I feel the same.
It just felt like the heart was just, ripped out of the Nuggets. And all my years here, I've been here since 2017. And all the games we've gone to, and I've never seen Ball Arena that quiet and that empty at the end of the game.
And they were booing.
It was bad. I would be too.
I agree. I was in Miami, so I thankfully kind of had an out because it was really late there. And I finally was like, I'm turning the TV off. I'm not doing this. I have to remove myself from the equation. BK, what are your thoughts? I know that we've had some opportunity to talk to Coach Malone, talk to some of the players this week. What are some things that you've learned over the course of the week before game 3?
Yeah, and it was really fascinating to be in the gym today, and you've got the side story of Jamal Murray, and we're going to obviously get into that. Mm-hmm. But then Jamal spoke, Christian Braun spoke, not in that order. CB went, then Jamal, then Coach went last. And that's usually how it'll go. Every now and then Coach will go first if the player's shooting, go in the middle. But more than once, Malone's tone, and you can watch the entire press conference on our YouTube channel or watch it on any of our social channels that we have here at Guerilla. But he's essentially, I know he did it privately, but publicly challenging his players. He's like, we can say all we want. We can talk about being together. We can talk about being motivated, whatever. We can talk about being tough. He's like, it doesn't matter what we say. We have to go out there and do it. And after the game in the locker room, Aaron Gordon was last to talk. Surprisingly, Joker out of nowhere came in mid-routine as opposed to at the very end, Natalie attired. He still had a workout shirt on and workout shorts. But so AG went last, which almost never happens. And we're waiting around, we're talking to him. And I asked him, I see your confidence level that this team can bounce back. And he says, we have to. And Malone kind of reiterated this because I asked him kind of the same thing off what AG said, but that we just have to worry about game 3. And then Malone cited when they were down 3-1 twice in the bubble. We weren't talking about winning 4 games. That's what they say when they lose game 1, first to 4, right? Now it's like, we just need to win a game. Then worry about the next game, then worry about the next game. And so we'll see if they really have that intestinal fortitude, championship medal, or if it's, I don't say the moment's too big for them, but it's just not meant to be.
You could kind of say the moment's too big, but I don't believe it.
I don't either. This is the reigning championship team outside of, I know Bruce Brown, we're starting to see
and Jeff Green,
just the impact that those guys had that we lost, but this is still a team with very, very talented players, but not only talented players, smart players. And it does not, I feel like right now we are not seeing mentally the Nuggets where they need to be. Like, they're taking their normal shots. They're just not landing. They're not falling. But now everybody's game has gone mental. Like, I was getting pissed off because I felt like I wanted them to win that game more than they wanted to win that game. That's how it looked. Like, once they started to get defeated, and I know there was some officiating moments that I think had them frustrated. I'm not saying that's the reason that they lost the game. Trust me, that is not the reason. But I think they just looked fresh. They were playing frustrated basketball and could not get out of that at all.
Well, when you're over here worrying about the officials and not basketball, you're going to lose the game.
Correct.
There's multiple times in the game you're begging for calls.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting back on defense, begging for calls, and it leads to a fast break transition where the Timberwolves will go get, they were getting great shots in the fast break.
Yep.
And I just feel, man, like the Timberwolves play physical and they play great defense. And that's something that they've done all year. They're one of the best defensive teams, if not the best defensive team in the league. And you have to find ways to play through it. But complaining after every shot,
it's not going to do a
not
thing
going
for
to
you,
work.
Nuggets.
But then also you see the frustration fouls. I remember specifically, it was something where Jamal Murray or someone went to the cup, they got fouled, and then he had a retaliation foul to try to be like, well, if you're not going to call that, then why would you call this?
Correct.
And and obviously, like we said, we'll get to it later with Jamal on the heat pack, but you could see those frustrations kind of rising and rising and rising until they kind of just started, overflowing. And now everybody's out of the game because they're worried about everything else but basketball.
Well,
I
and
agree.
I said this, I think I might have said it on KOA, I said it on Fox 31, say it to you guys now. I don't say they're playing 8-on-5 because it wasn't the refs and the Timberwolves against them. The refs weren't really good and weren't consistent, and clearly the Nuggets were aggravated. I don't think it was like, oh, the league is out to get the Nuggets. It wasn't that.
They called it both ways, and that's one thing I will give it. Like, you can say it all you want to. The Nuggets were going in there after they realized that they weren't calling stuff. The Nuggets did start to play a little bit more physical, but you could tell that's not their game.
But
you could tell this is
they
the
were
Timberwolves.
uncomfortable
This
with
is
it,
the
yeah.
Timberwolves game. This is what they do.
But to finish that, the point I was making about 8-on-5, they were just playing. They were more worried about the refs than they needed to be because the Timberwolves were just playing basketball.
Correct.
And to your point about that being more their style, because they talked about toughness. Michael Malone said, "We'll know." This is between games 1 and 2. We'll know early what our sense of urgency is, and are we ready to play? Do we match that intensity? And they didn't from the jump.
Didn't.
Well, do you think that it was a lull because they knew Rudy Gobert was not going to be there, that they thought it might be a little bit easier?
If they thought, let me find out that they thought that was a good idea. Because at what point in time has this Timberwolves team ever been a team that you should underestimate in any capacity, especially in the playoffs? And that's where the mental part of this is so frustrating for me right now, because I feel like they know how, I think they know how hard it is to win a championship, but I think because it was such a breeze for them last year, which is not historically what you see, it's not. I mean, the Nuggets sweeping in the conference finals, that's supposed to be the 2 best teams in the Western Conference. Then they went on to the finals facing the best Eastern Conference team, and it was a gentleman's sweep. So to me, I think that kind of set them up for a unrealistic perception of what it takes to win a championship. I'm not saying by any means that the Nuggets winning last year was easy. It wasn't easy, but it was a breeze in comparison to other championship runs that we have seen. And I think I think they were expecting the same thing to happen this year, and the target only gets bigger on your back when you win a championship.
I think they lost the championship this year at the trade deadline. When they didn't make any moves to enhance their bench, that's when the season was lost. I think we all can agree. The Nuggets probably have one of the best starting 5.
Yes.
I think most people tell you, even in basketball, it's the best starting 5, and you're returning the best starting 5 from a championship team.
Correct.
But who else?
Right. Christian Brown is clearly much better at this point in his career in year 2 as your 8th guy, and Peyton Watson is better as your 9th guy. And with apologies to everybody else on that bench, and even DeAndre Jordan, whose prime is certainly behind him, you don't have anybody else that's and Reggie Jackson, that's a conversation, and he's dealing with the injury. They don't have a 7th and 8th guy like they had, or 6th and 7th guy, I'm not going to math, 6th and 7th guy with Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, even though Jeff's also a million years old. For what they needed from him, he gave it to him. Justin Holiday, Justin Holiday,
he produced.
I think they're probably realizing they should have just played Justin Holiday more perhaps throughout the year, because the moment's not too big for an 11-year vet. He hit 4 or 5 threes. Okay, are you going to mess with the rotation? Probably not, but is he going to get a little more run? You may need it.
Right. Okay, chat, we want to get you guys involved a little bit here, and we're going to do a little true or false. I think you'll be able to tell what our answers are based on some of the things that we've already said. I also would like to say, for those that are tuning in going, why on earth is Liv wearing an Avalanche leather jacket? Well, first of all, this is the sickest vintage Avs jacket you'll ever see.
It's a little cold in studio.
A little cold in the studio, but I actually wore this very strategically because I feel like maybe the Colorado Avalanche can rub some winning magic on the Nuggets. So if I'm talking about the Nuggets and I'm wearing a team that's actually winning right now, maybe, just maybe, it will work. And if it doesn't work, then I'm throwing it in the trash. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, let's play some true or false. And I think I know where you guys are going to lean on most of this. But chat, we want you involved. Please drop in the comments how you feel about these. Okay, true or false? Coach Malone should have been ejected.
I believe true. I believe you should have. I get it. You're irate. You're angry, but you run into the middle of the court, get in the official's face, screaming.
It was a lot.
That doesn't bode well just for the message you're sending to your team, because then everybody else started doing it too.
That's when they all started playing frustrated. It was just like they were just mad about. Yeah. Anyway, BK, true or false?
True that he probably should have been tossed there. I think that the ref knew they blew the call and they gave him a little more leeway than you probably would. But then Malone was asked about it post game, I think, by Mark Kislett at the very end of his presser on Monday night. Were you trying to get tossed? Were you just trying to get your team fired up? Were you trying to get a tech? And he said D, all of the above, because he basically gave a long answer, but said, if I'm going to ask them to fight and claw and scratch and give everything they have, I want them to know that I'm there too. And when something's not being officiated correctly, I want them to know that I'm there to fight for him. And so had he have gotten tossed, he would have lived with that. Had they've gotten a tech there, which obviously only helps the Timberwolves and hurts them even more when they're already in trouble. So that's not, and look, Malone, I get that he's the son of a basketball coach, but he's still a a guy that grew up in New York, in New Jersey, playing street ball while his dad's off. Like, there's a toughness that Michael Malone has, an edge to him, that New York City thing that not everyone has everywhere. And I'm not saying that's the only tough place, but that's how he's wired. It's not for show. Sometimes coaches know, and really smart ones, we'll see it with baseball
really
managers all the time.
I say baseball really is
they know when to push those buttons.
For sure.
I think there might have been like, okay, I'm going to let these, but that's also, he's ready to go fight because that's how he's wired.
Yep.
I think he needed to, though. There was such a, the team was struggling really at that point. And so it was either, a way to really get them, like try to get them in the game. But I think it kind of had the opposite effect.
I agree.
Where everyone started complaining. Everyone started, every play, throwing your hands up. It's just, you're not going to win a game when you're worried about the refs.
I agree. And I honestly kind of have like a funny little take on the whole Coach Malone. Should Coach Malone have been ejected? Yes, I do believe that he should have, because I think that, again, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't go into a ref's face and show that you're frustrated. I did, however, gain a lot of respect for Mark Davis as a ref, because it showed to me that not all the refs are soft. I mean, these are grown men. It's like men sometimes get a little frustrated. They get ahead of themselves. They say the wrong thing. They get emotional. And he could have easily, we have seen refs many times in the NBA basically just get in their feelings and tee people up just because they're in their feelings. So honestly, gained a lot of respect for Mark Davis as a ref himself, that he didn't make that an ejection and was able to take the heat knowing that he had a no call. To me, that was just like, I love that not all refs in the NBA are soft. Shout out Mark Davis. So that was my takeaway from that.
I think that, going off of Mark Davis thing, I think you got to give the refs in this game a lot more credit, because there could have been a lot more technicals thrown around.
Oh, yes.
All the complaining after every foul, like getting in the ref's face, like during the regular season, that's a T.
Yep.
Like that's a T. And I love the fact that they're letting them play basketball.
Let the men play.
They're letting them play basketball. Like they weren't calling any of that flopping stuff that we see so much around the NBA of try to put your shoulder into them, then fly back like you just got ran over. Like they weren't calling that. They were making them play through contact and making them play basketball.
But here's what's hard, and I think we had conversations about officiating in the NBA many times right here on this show. I think what's difficult about that is, yes, let them play, but then we get a different ref, a different staff of officiating, and it's a very different game. Like it's so the word I'm looking for is it's so subjective, and that's the problem. You almost give too much power to refs in this game, because I'm with you, let them play, but then when the team thinks that they're good to go, hey, we're just going to let you guys play, well then we've got game 3 and game 4 around the corner, and we don't know what kind of officiating is going to happen in that game. So it's like the inconsistencies, I think, is what's hard for me when it comes to like NBA officiating as a whole, because they got to play in this one, but they may not get away with it in game 3. You might see Karl Anthony Towns in foul trouble. You could see AG and Jokic in early foul trouble. So it's hard when they don't know, am I good to play? Or, now you're just in your feelings. You're teeing everybody up. You're, being soft, being sensitive. It's hard to know what you're going to get.
But that's what the first quarter is for.
You got to
feel it out. You got to feel.
They did not do that. The Nuggets did not feel it out.
You got to feel it out. You got to feel how the refs are really trying to manage the game. And I feel, obviously people feel the defending champ should get some type of respect, which they should. But when you have a team that's coming in there and they just punch them in the mouth like that.
Not once, but twice.
But like they dog walked them.
That was a belt to the bare bottom when I was getting whooped before timeout. That's what game 2 felt like. Game 1 was like bar of soap. Game 2 was like, nah, this is not funny.
And one thing that was interesting, and I'm sitting up there with, I got Mark Kisla next to me, I got D-Mac, I got folks at Troy Ranks around on the other side, Mark, and we're all just kind of like everyone in the building, like everyone watching at home, a bit stunned, a bit shocked. And I didn't tweet much during the game, but one thing I did put out there when I looked down at the stat sheet, Jamal Murray almost had 10 rebounds in the first quarter, and he finished with 13, second best in the game. That's cool, but that's cool when it comes with 30 points and 8 or 9 assists, not when it's your best stat and you're 3 of 18. But that at 42-20, when there was another timeout, you look down and it was 42-20, trending in the wrong direction already. And Anthony Edwards only had 4 of those 42 points. He obviously finished with 27, just like Cat, and got his, even though the number one bet across the board in Vegas, and I know you know this, and on every site, was over under, I think it was either 28.5 or 29.5, was 99% over, and it went under.
I just think,
but Ant, man, for them to be up that much and Ant not to even be a scoring factor at that point, it gave you an idea of how that game was going to go, because he wasn't going to finish with 11 points.
Well, just look at the overall playoff for the Nuggets. I don't think they're playing any differently really than they have been the whole time. It's just like we said before, you can't play like that against the Timberwolves how you did against the Lakers. You can't let a team go up 20 and expect to come back every second half. And you're seeing it now where the Timberwolves are just kind of adding on to, they're not letting you chip away. They're adding more on. And the Nuggets, so that's the thing. It's not like the Nuggets are really playing any different. They struggle every first half. They struggle every first half.
That was another thing that Malone brought up today, because we were one of the best first quarter teams in the league all year long, and we've lost 5 of 7 first quarters, and that's uncharacteristic. And Minnesota's only involved in 2 of those, right? The Lakers were involved in the other 5, and it took till game 5 for them to win a quarter, right? And surprisingly, Saturday night when they were down to 18-4, they somehow were up 25-23 after 1 in game 1. But that is a bit uncharacteristic.
Very. Very. Okay, next true or false. Speaking of the Timberwolves, we'll just stay on track with them. Anthony Edwards is playing the best basketball in the NBA right now. True or false?
I'll let you go first, BK.
Both true and false, only because Jalen Brunson's right there with him.
Yeah,
that's the only.
Yeah,
it's not
Jalen
to take anything away
Brunson's
from Ant, who is right now. If you were going to bet Finals MVPs, and those numbers are probably up somehow. Tatum, I think, is still odds-on favorite. But Brunson, I think his over-under is 37 or something, and people are still betting the over in his game too. And we know that a lot of that is the Pacers' defense. But
I was going to say, would you say that Ant has a tougher competition?
He's playing against the defending champs. He's not playing against the Pacers. Yeah, I'm not going to argue against it. So I'll say that true, he is playing the best because of their sweep over the Suns and who the Suns roster is, and now their sweep until proven otherwise over the Nuggets.
Yep.
I would have to say false. I think
if you say Giannis,
I think
Dame,
I was going to say, leave the
Chris
Bucks
Middleton
out of this, Shelby. Leave them out.
I'm not going to lie to you. I would have to say Chris Middleton was top 3. I'm just saying that because think about
Lord
what he
mercy.
did. But we're not even going to. But I think you have to get the nod to Jalen Brunson. He's doing this all about Julius Randle.
Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest thing that people keep forgetting. Julius Randle is hurt. He's out. They're making this run without. Before the season, people thought Julius Randle was like their best player.
Veteran.
One of their best players. Now Jalen Brunson's literally doing this, putting the whole team on his back.
Right. So Ant has Karl Anthony Towns.
He's got
been
a
an all-star.
cast.
He has now the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. I know he wasn't there Monday. He has the 6th Man of the Year.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So if you think about individually, you got to give it to Jalen Brunson.
But you know what I'm going to say, and I think that's where we live in a world where watchers of basketball, there are some people that collectively look at the team and go, Jalen Brunson is doing more and pushing his team further with like a less talented roster. But you could also make the case of Anthony Edwards is able to produce even surrounded by talent. Like he doesn't even have to do that, and he still is. So it's like I feel like there's 2 different types of basketball watchers. The personal stats and like the team success. I do think there's some players that are held to both. Nikola Jokic. I felt like everyone wanted to discredit how great he was until his team saw a championship.
LeBron James. I know you. I know. You know, the whole country is full of LeBron haters. But let's be honest. Like, what other player
There
can
is
have
not
a great
player
year over and over and over again, and you literally only like judge him based off of team success? Like, it doesn't matter if LeBron averages 30 points a game every year. If his team does not win the NBA championship, you consider it a failure. It's it's a great.
There's not one person on this planet that has more fanboys than LeBron James.
He's earned
it. And they will
Michael
defend
Jordan.
him.
Michael Jordan.
They both earned it.
I honestly, I'm real big on this Michael Jordan era as being overhyped.
Well, it's because you're not old enough to remember it. It was not. It was.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's
55.
fairly hyped.
But the difference is this, though, is that everyone wants to use every. Oh, LeBron's had this many coaches, and is that Kobe had a bunch of coaches too? Like, what are we doing?
That's
like,
fair.
Let's just appreciate the fact that like LeBron James.
He is phenomenal. LeBron James is phenomenal.
I have no problem going on record saying this is the greatest player ever, because longevity. He's done it 20 years, 20 plus years.
I'm not gonna argue with you
but
right
then
now.
Also, it's just the fact that no one has ever had that much pressure coming into the league and truly turned into a diamond. Like, he truly has done nothing but live up to every expectation
You're right.
Everyone's ever had about him. And you know what I mean? Like, and that's an 18-year-old, number 1 overall pick, goes to the garbage Cavs, takes that team to the heights with a roster that had Daniel Gibson and Zydrunas Ilgauskas as your starters. You know what I mean? So it's like,
and Eric Snow at 35 years old, and
Yeah,
my
so-
man Drew
Listen,
Gooden. But yeah, it was not a great roster.
Did Shelby Harris just make me a LeBron James is the GOAT person?
I think so.
Mic drop, because let me tell you something right now. I will tell you, I get more irritated by LeBron's fans than I do LeBron. They speak about this man like he's God and like he does no wrong, which, okay, at the end of the day, he is phenomenal. But also they get, to them, basketball is like life. Ball is life. To LeBron, it's just basketball.
Well, look, he can say. I think Justin Holiday said it the other day too. But here, I'm not giving you a hard time for how old you are. The facts are the facts. But I was in basically junior high, high school, and college in the height of the Bulls run. I graduated high school in '96. Okay,
Oh, wow.
so I got to see every Michael Jordan excellent moment in real time as a teenager, and then I guess '98 I would have been 20, right? When he wins that 6th title. He's far and away the, I guess, most clutch player you've ever seen, and all the things you've heard are accurate. I've watched LeBron from start to finish. He's my favorite player I've ever watched, because at his size, to do what he has done, to fulfill a prophecy that I get was created by the world, the hype machine we live in, and Sports Illustrated and everything else, but to have met every expectation, to have gone to the finals 8 times, to have taken that crappy Cavs team and then gotten there with the Heat, and obviously going back and taking a good Cavs team, winning in the bubble, whatever. But he has at least 4 titles. That may be where he ends. He's got I want to say 4 MVPs. He's the all-time leading scorer. He's still at 39. He was certainly not the reason the Lakers lost. Now he's the reason the coach got fired.
Top 10 in 3-pointers.
Yeah.
I don't think people actually realize what LeBron does.
But so I don't know if you told me I could pick one to start my team. I don't know if I'm picking LeBron, just like I'm not picking Tom Brady over Patrick Mahomes, John Elway, or Dan Marino, but Tom Brady's got 7 rings. So I'm not taking Bill Russell with his 11 ring. I'm not going to lose any sleep on anybody who wants to tell me LeBron is better than Michael Jordan.
Let me just say this.
Or vice versa.
You will very rarely hear me speak on the MJ versus LeBron conversation, because I never got to watch MJ. So it does not feel fair to me to make a judgment call on something that I just simply didn't get to witness. I'm too young to have witnessed that.
And it's not the same as like, oh, you didn't hear
It's hard
the
to
Beatles
speak
when
on
they
something
came
you
out.
didn't
Like,
watch.
music you can appreciate differently, or old movies or
Of
something that
course.
didn't come out in
real time. It's very different.
But when you're watching it and you're remembering where you were when those plays were made, where were you watching the game? Who were you watching the game with? Yeah, that's hard. But it also, this whole conversation gives us an idea of where things are with the Nuggets, because we've just spent 5 minutes on LeBron and MJ.
Right. We're a little checked out at the moment, everybody.
Well, why wouldn't you be? You just got
absolutely.
It was times you, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure the Nuggets were down by 30 at one point.
Multiple times.
And that's why I'm just like,
I turned the damn game off.
If they're checked out, why shouldn't we?
Thank you. And I said that. I literally was texting my mother, and what I had actually told my mom before game 2, post game 1, when I was obviously like, okay, we've got some work to do. This Timberwolves team is no joke. And then game 2 rolls around, and I said to my mother, if we don't win game 2, it's over. Because to lose 2 at home when you have been one of the better teams in the postseason at defending home court, to give a guy that like Anthony Edwards that type of confidence and comfortability is insane. So as I'm watching that game, I think that's why I keep going back to this Nuggets team mentally looks checked out. I feel like I was watching game 2 in my hotel room in Miami, thinking the whole time, I want this more than they do. Like they're getting frustrated, and I know that this Nuggets team does. That's what I have said over and over again is their edge. It's their weapon. The way that they do not get rattled, no matter what happens, no matter what type of bad officiating is going on, strong defense is on the other side of the ball. It doesn't matter. This team does not lose their focus, and they never get rattled. We saw them do both in the first quarter in game 2. I was like, it's done. I watched the first quarter, and I told myself, I'm going to watch the first quarter, get a feel for how this game is going. Law and Order SVU. Click. Olivia Benson saved me, because I was like, I am not doing this. Like, I could see it. Mentally, they are not there. They're just not there. So I know this episode probably feels a little depressing right now, but it feels that way.
You need to liven things up with SVU.
With crime and death.
Yeah. You have a problem when you fall asleep to SVU.
Literally.
No, but remember what I said last week, though. The way the Timberwolves win this, they got to do it quick. And they came out and
they're doing it quick.
Blazing. They're not playing with their food.
Nope.
They're just getting straight to the point. And so, you got to love basketball like that. They're really taking it to the defending champs.
Yeah, no, they are. Okay, we have a couple more true or falses. This one can be really quick and lighthearted, and I'm going to actually add a part to this. True or false, Jamal Murray threw the heat pack on purpose, and also true or false, should he have been suspended? That's not really a true or false, but Jamal should have been suspended. True or false?
So I can't remember what sport I saw this. I think it was baseball. It might have been a different sport, where if you get suspended in the playoffs, they don't suspend you during the playoffs.
It carries over to the next year.
They carry over to the next year. And I think that would be the more responsible thing. You don't want
Draymond Green would agree with you.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Of course he would.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but you don't want that to, define the series. You don't want that to.
I agree.
To be the reason, you don't want a team to have. You don't want a team to have any reason to be like.
You don't want
this
that.
is why you won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, and so yeah, I'm fine with it. It's something that we're playing a game that involves a lot of emotions. We're playing a game that
goes back. It's like Coach Malone with the ref.
Yeah,
these
what
are.
I mean? So it makes sense. I get it. You can't do stuff like that because you can't. We're always role models.
Mm-hmm.
No matter if we're in the heat of the moment or not, we're on TV or we're walking around. As a pro athlete, you're a role model. Kids look up to you. They want to do.
But you're also not perfect because you're human.
You're not. And so I think, you got to be able to accept that you're wrong, come out, admit you're wrong, have an apology about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but be sincere. Like, because, we get it. Game 2 was very frustrating. Terribly frustrating. But you can't let your emotions get the best of you. I don't think he should be suspended. If anything, he should have just got ejected out of that game right then.
Well, but
you know what I mean? Like, but like to come back and be like, "Oh, we're going to sit you for the next game."
Yeah.
Especially that this is a series. This next game, let's be honest.
This next game is do or die to me.
So I don't think the NBA wanted to be involved, being like, "We're going to lose the series for you guys."
Well, and I know the league can get involved after the fact. You go way back, but to the Malice and the Palace, like they had to review film and all of that factored into.
Yep.
Ron Artest's suspension and everything, but I did hear some people say that there's not really an apparatus in place for them penalize a player for there's not rules against throwing stuff on the court because it's like understood, like it's just not in the rule book
because
because you're expecting it to be from fans. There probably is some language about obstructing the game,
right?
But because he didn't technically do that because it didn't fall on the court,
it kind of did though, because if Cat steps on that and rolls his ankle, now we have a bigger problem.
No question.
Very big problem.
So that's you also endangering other
No doubt.
athletes.
And it happened the other way, especially with where Jamal is with his legs right now and his calves.
As Nuggets fans,
specifically,
they'd be pissed. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so the $100,000 is, I saw 0.29% of his $33 million salary. So that's not going to make him lose a lot of sleep. He is going to be able to play. One other thing Michael Malone brought up today after practice was, when's the last time you saw Jamal go 3 of 18? But Jamal said he knows he's just not where he would be anywhere near 100%, but has to learn to manage that. So,
after the fact,
I agree. And here's where I'm struggling right now a little bit with Jamal Murray, because
I'm not saying that as it relates to throwing. I'm just saying how he's playing.
Well, no, I'm talking about performance-wise.
Yeah. No.
Like, your injuries, like, it's like everyone gets hurt. If you choose to play, there's no excuse.
Thank you. Okay.
No,
I don't think he's making an excuse. I'm going to come at it from the angle, though,
fans and
of
everything.
fans.
There's no excuse. If he's playing, he knows, he thinks down in his heart that he's able to play. He's able to make a difference. Fans cannot be like, oh, we only lost this because he's hurt. He's obviously not hurt enough.
That's something playing. I want to talk about. I want to touch on this because I've had this a lot in my mentions where I'll say, I think I tweeted something like, I just can't defend this version of Jamal anymore. You know, I think what happened is we got one really great game against the Lakers. We got these incredible buzzer beaters that had people in chills. And we forgot about, not all of us, but some people forgot about just how poorly across the stretch of the postseason this year Jamal Murray has played. But where I struggle is that then I have people in my mentions talking about him being injured. Oh, well, he's not fully healthy. Then put him on the bench.
Just don't play.
I don't like that sometimes what we do as fans is we say, he was injured. That's the excuse for a poor performance. But then if he had a great performance injured, I did it. I made a video and said he just put 32 on your head with one leg. So I then can't go back and say, oh, well, he had 0 points in the first half because he's on one leg. It's like, no, we just watched him ball out on one leg. So that doesn't matter. And it shouldn't matter. If you're going to play, if you're going to take yourself, or the team is going to decide to take Jamal Murray off the injury report, he is healthy, as far as I'm concerned. And maybe he's not. But if you make the decision to play, you can't, as fans, we can't use his injury as an excuse for poor performance. At the end of the day, Jamal Murray's just not playing well, period.
Yeah, like it's just like when T.O. played in the Super Bowl and his leg was broken.
He did have 10 catches.
You know, man, he had a great game. But like, no, I'm saying he had a great game. But if he didn't, everyone would have been like, oh, he shouldn't have played. He was hurt.
But you know that more than anybody on Sundays.
But it's different though, because football, we play through injuries.
You play through injuries,
like there's 100% chance if you're going to be hurt.
But the second, especially if it's something nagging leading into it, right? You get hurt during a game, that's different. But if you're nagging, you're on the injury report all week, or you've been on it for weeks, and you're managing whatever, a knee, an ankle, a shoulder, and then you dress on Sunday, suit up on Sunday, and you're in the game, unless you're some sort of specialist, you as specifically as a defensive lineman, or T.O. as a receiver. He's not dressed just in case there's a jump ball late in the game. Like he was expected to play in that Super Bowl. You're expected to play your 25-30, 35-40, 40, whatever the expectation is in the game plan. If you're healthy and active as a starter, specifically in the NFL, I suppose if you're a reserve, like O lineman, even if you're a starter and you're there just because they know that you can tough it out in a pinch. But it's kind of the same thing with Jamal. Are you better off with this version of Jamal than whatever version you currently have of Reggie Jackson? Colin Gillespie, I guess, is not even allowed to be on the roster because of how the roster maneuvers works. Or Julian Strother or Jalen Pickett. Like, I still think this version of Jamal, now you don't want him going 3 of 18, you're going to get more out of him than you will out of a rookie in Jalen Pickett if you had to have Jalen Pickett play 18 minutes.
I think that's also the biggest.
Goes back to what you're saying about the depth.
I think we can agree on is they need Jamal Murray. There is nobody else.
There's no Nuggets without Jamal Murray.
Like, if you think that they have a shot at winning the series without Jamal Murray, then you're sadly mistaken.
Correct.
And so a 75% Jamal Murray is better than no Jamal Murray.
Right.
And so the fans have to realize, like, maybe it's not he's injured. Just maybe we have to give credit to the Timberwolves for the defense.
That's okay. Part of it too.
That is on my list. I was going to say Jamal Murray. ... Is this a testament to the defense that Jamal Murray has had to face in the postseason? Or are we seeing a display of some major inconsistencies in his game? Or is it both?
They're putting people that have size on him. And that's where he's struggling. They're putting McDaniels on him. They're
They're poking holes.
They're putting their best defenders on,
Yeah.
like their best guard defenders on him.
There's a relentlessness too to the way they all play, but certainly the McDaniels is all over him.
Yeah, and like I heard after the game, I love what Anthony Edwards said. He said Jaden McDaniels, he probably doesn't scored 5 points, but he's one of our most important players.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to give a shout out to him. He's doing it all for us.
And he was not there when they played last season in this series. Neither was Naz Reid. And they still gave the Nuggets, I think, as hard a time as even though Phoenix won 2 games, still as big a challenge as anybody they saw a year ago. You now add the 6th man of the year and a guard who's just going to be a nuisance from the time Jamal brings up. So then you have to have other guys bring the ball up, not because anyone's going to get a steal there. This is the NBA. I'm not saying that steals don't happen in the backcourt, but you're doing it just to make him work for an extra 4 or 5 seconds. And then because Jaden McDaniels isn't asked to score, really,
it's not his game.
Dennis Rodman style. Gary Payton could score and ran but like, we're going to lock you down. KCP, what he's asked to do most, lock the other guy down.
But how often do you see this? How often do you see a full court press in Denver?
Yeah.
Like that's where, we were talking about X factors and stuff. He's obviously proven that even without scoring, his impact with the game is astronomical.
The Timberwolves defense is something that deserves a whole lot of credit. I mean, I think we all know that they're playing maybe one of the best that I have witnessed, because again, I'm a young girl, but this may be one of the best defensive, the playoff defensive performances that I've seen in my lifetime from a basketball team.
Nuggets fans keep complaining, but I very rarely I don't see fouls that much.
No,
they're very physical. They're in your face. When they go for the ball, it's all ball. And like I hear like at the game, like people, refs, you suck. Where's the call? Like those are the calls that will get called and then get reviewed and then be like, all right, well, there was no foul. The refs are letting it go. And I think honestly, like this is like you said, I'm 32. I haven't seen the bad boys or anything like that.
But this isn't that.
But these first 2 games are some of the best defensive performance I've seen in a long time. I feel too.
Well, and look, I don't want to pretend like I watched every second of their series against Phoenix, but they swept the Suns, playing a similar style of defense against Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, 3 of the best scorers in the league. Kevin Durant's one of the best scorers in the history of basketball. Yep. Booker's certainly trending that way, and Bradley Beal, we know, can fill it up when given the chance. It's a real credit to them. And so as I was going to see Shelby at halftime, I decided in the arena to fire up the TNT halftime show on my phone and just see what Chuck and Shaq and Kenny, because certainly Charles and Kenny and EJ have a historical perspective that can go back, well into the 70s. And Charles straight up said, this is one of the best defensive performances I've ever seen, period, by any team in any game, let alone a team against the defending champs in their building in round 2.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So that being said, speaking on the Timberwolves' insanely great defense right now, and the fact that we have a rattled Nuggets team, and the fact that we now go on the road, and the fact that Rudy Gobert will be back, just how worried are you guys about not just game 3, but the remainder of this season? And I will say, when Nikola Jokic is on the court, anything is possible with this Nuggets team. There is a world where they figure it out. They get their head back in the game. I could see that happening. However, I would love to hear from you guys and gauge your worry, because mine's at an all-time high right now, to be completely honest, because I think what the Nuggets' weapon has always been is their mental toughness. And I think we look mentally really weak right now.
I think the Wolves look offensively better without Rudy Gobert. You put Naz Reid in there and you can go 5 wide. You can go 5 out. You have 5 shooters.
Or Kyle Anderson, who I think had 8 or 9 assists.
You put Slow-Mo in there, and it's just they look very fluid without Rudy Gobert because everybody can score, everybody can shoot.
Yeah.
Obviously, when Rudy Gobert goes in there, he's the pick man. He's the guy down low. But like Naz Reid, I think in the beginning, in that first half, those threes he made in those first, it was all huge threes.
Yep.
And then it's tough because obviously Rudy Gobert brings a whole different presence to the game. Obviously, he has way more of a defensive impact than an offensive impact. But offensively, I actually like the Wolves better without
it did feel a little smoother.
But then on top of that, because they have certainly played times, and Rudy Gobert doesn't play 48 minutes. It also, I think, for a team that's already playing really good defense, might have allowed them to pick the intensity up even a little bit more because they don't have that eraser behind them who, even if I do get beat by a better offensive player or by a good play, Rudy's going to help clean things up. I don't have that anymore, so I have to be even more dialed in defensively, and I think that may have been a factor too.
Yeah, I'm a little worried at the moment, and I think
you asked how worried we are. I guess we didn't get a quantifiable
what's your
answer.
gauge? I'll ask you this from 1 to 10, 10 being like there's no shot, there's no chance, it's not happening. This series is already over, and you foresee a sweep potentially. Where is your worry at as we go into game 3?
I see both. It could be a sweep. It could be the Nuggets come back. You don't ever count on the defending champs. I get it. You know, I don't think Joker's going to play how he played last game. I think
it's weird. A game that 16, 16, and 8 just didn't look right.
It didn't at all.
But the turnovers, the lack of being involved in the offense for such long periods of time, I don't see that. I see them making an emphasis of, you know, the guards obviously were struggling, so it's like, all right, let's get the easy points now. And you know, if AG's saving you in the first quarter with his 3-pointers, you know what I mean? Like, I think they're in the same position they were, just with a little bit more, you know, sound the alarm a little bit. I still think they have the ability to come back and win the series. Will I think it'll happen? No, but I think that they do have the ability. But yeah, I wouldn't be any more worried than any other time, because the champs have to have some type of resolve. The champs have to have that mental toughness. And I'm not going to rule out the Nuggets just because, you know, they've lost 2. They got blown out last game, but they're still the defending champs.
I think we'll be able to tell in the first minute of game 3 whether or not this series is over. If they come out mopey, defeated, unorganized, chaotic, wrap it up. Wrap it up. Honestly, I'll get my broom out and start sweeping around the house. I swear I will, because they have to be a very different version of themselves when they are in Minnesota facing a team that's up 2-0 on them right now.
I think they will come out. I think they will come out.
I hope so.
But I also would have thought that
they're going to get punched in the face again.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When they get punched in the face again, are they going to you know, tap out, or are you going to take it on the chin and keep going?
Yeah, I think that it's interesting when you look at the historical context, and without getting into all the numbers, just teams that have lost the first 2 at home since 1984, so 40 years. Teams are 4-22. So 4 times it's happened that a team has come back after losing those first 2 home games. I think it's something in the 20s as far as teams that have lost the first 2 on the road, like say the Timberwolves lost on the road, but then they came home and were able to figure out a way to steal game 7 on the road or whatever. But so it's only happened 4 times, but it has happened. So there's some historical precedent. If they lose Friday, then history is certainly not on their side, because that shows that number's up to now with the Nugs and Timberwolves winning last round, at least 153-0. So if they get if they get down 3-0, then we can all start making our summer plans. Certainly the Nuggets can. But your point about them being the defending champs, seeing their resolve, will they be able to knock down shots? Will everything run through Joker? Will they space the floor? Because as good as that defense is, if Joker can have the ball with just Rudy on him, and that's what they'll have most of the time, there's not a lot of doubles with Rudy on Joker, that will allow him to either score on Rudy, which he's still shown that he can do well north of 30 points, and or if somebody else comes, not only finding them, are they spaced out well enough? Can they take a good shot in rhythm and knock it down?
So BK, I'll ask you this. We'll get our last second updated predictions. What is your up?
It would not be the smartest thing to say bet right now, but I'm not going to change it. I'm going to say Nuggets in 7. Okay. And obviously if they lose on Friday, I don't think they're going to be one of the 3 teams ever that have gotten to game 7 down 3-0, which still the team has never won that 7th game. But I think that they find a way to win, maybe split there and then start to figure it out. Or maybe they win both, because they do often have the answers to the test, but you still have to execute that.
Yep.
And so it's going to be on Joker. It's going to be on Jamal. When we talk about his injury, like you could tell he tried to dunk it one time. Like his rhythm is just off. So it wasn't even that was great defense. It's just he's, I think, trying to overcompensate and think, and we know the body will do that. So he's going to have to figure out what his limitations really are and how to maximize what he can do well, which I think is still run the offense.
Okay. What's your updated prediction?
I started off saying Nuggets in 7.
I think we all did.
But what I said was, if it happens quick, the Wolves win. I think the Wolves win in 5 now.
I agree.
Because it just kind of, you know, I believe the Nuggets will get 1 in Minnesota, but it's, you know, that they're hot, and that's and every year we see this every year where the team that's hot sometimes beats the better team.
Yeah.
And you see it, well, a lot more in baseball, I guess. But in basketball, the team that's hot leading into the playoffs, that's usually the team that ends up winning the whole thing. And, obviously you can't count on OKC, but the Wolves look like
I agree.
That team.
I agree. And I think that I think I mentioned this the last time that we had a show, that whoever wins this series to me wins it all, because I think if it is the Nuggets and they're able to come back from a 0-2 deficit, despite how poorly they've played, they've got everything it takes then to win a championship to me. And right now the Timberwolves look like they are well on their way with the defense that they're playing to be able to win a championship. I will say I started with Nuggets in 7. I am now going to change to Wolves in 5. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, and this is not me switching up on my team. For the love of God, get out of my mentions saying, "Oh, now she's switching up." Yeah, because I'm watching basketball.
Each one is also hurt. You're not
right.
You're not cheering for this.
I don't want this life. Trust me, I really don't. I would rather have it be a cool and easy breezy, I don't have to stress it, Nuggets in 7. But unfortunately, that's not the reality. And we're also not seeing typical Denver Nuggets ball. Shelby just told us Ball Arena has never sounded or felt like that before. So I am switching up because the Nuggets switched up, damn it. They did it first. I am just following suit. So Wolves in 5, sticking by Nuggets in 7. I really hope BK is on the money with
I'd
this
love to be
one.
right. Look, I'm going to Minnesota.
I am hoping.
If you're the Nuggets, your thought has to be, we just got to get back home. We just got to
Bring it back home.
We got to get back home. We have a chance. And obviously, it doesn't show in the first 2 games they played here.
Right.
But if they can get it back home, they have a chance.
I'm going to be in Minnesota. Shelby has to get to a surgery. Dr. Harris is performing.
I just looked. I was like, oh, I look like I'm in scrubs.
I have to tell you guys, he came in here today and he said, I just got done getting stabbed. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, oh, I got some dry needling. I'm like, that is the most dramatic way to say you just got dry needling. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Chat, thank you guys for being here. Let us know if you guys prefer the live version of this show. We're happy to continue doing it if you like being involved and going back and forth in the comments. But appreciate you for being here. This has been another Hoops Your Daddy. We'll hopefully recap. When will they see us again? When this
Friday night?
Friday night, I'll be here live in the studio for a post-game 3 reaction. But we'll be back again next week to hopefully have some better things to say, a little more energy, a little more positivity. But thanks for joining, and we'll see you soon. Go Nuggets.